Hey guys, I've got a really exciting episode for you. If you're like me and you grew up in the 70s, you definitely know this man. I got to catch up with one of my childhood favorites from the show Land of the Lost. You guys know him as Will Marshall. Well, today I get to interview Mr. Wesley Eure. Let's go to that interview right now. Let's get to it. Okay, guys, it is my honor and privilege to welcome the man himself, Mr. Wesley Eure. Thank you so much for joining me today, Wesley.
Oh, Danny, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh, I got to tell you, I know you hear this all the time, but I grew up watching you. So this is a little bit intimidating, a little mind-blowing.
Yes, I'm usually going, run, Holly, run. There's a dinosaur.
The famous line.
Stack, so that's there.
Oh, I noticed the shirt right off, and I'm like, I have got to get one of those shirts.
It's amazing. What's amazing is how many, after all these years, how many new products are coming out. And this, I think I got this on Redbubble or something like that. I mean,
really?
This is fan made. This is not an authorized Sid Marty Krofft shirt. And there's so many wonderful ones. And I go every once in a while, I'll go and look at the t-shirts online and stuff and go, oh, I like that one.
Yeah.
And it's so odd when you buy a t-shirt that has your picture on it. It's
oh my gosh, it's got to be so crazy.
I'll go be at a coffee shop and my friends will go, really? You're wearing yourself again? Really?
Yeah. Yes, I am.
Exactly.
That's awesome. I want to ask you a couple of questions that I've been reading about you and your career, because you've had quite an awesome career. I wanted to ask you a couple of questions about your acting career in general. Is it true that you were at one time hired to play to take Keith Partridge's place?
I was.
Wow.
David Cassidy had decided he wanted to leave the show, and the show was a hit. And the network, ABC, was really upset with him. And so they decided they were going to cast a next door neighbor, which was going to be me, and to become his best friend. And I had a single dad who would end up marrying into the Partridge Family, and I'd become the lead singer of the Partridge Family. So I went to Bobby Sherman's house. Remember Bobby Sherman, the teen idol from Seven Brides for Seven Brothers back in the day? He was right before my time in that genre. He was the biggest guy. And so we went to Bobby's house, and I don't know if the song we sang, I think it was an original song or something, recorded it, went to ABC, lip sank it for ABC, and I got the job. And then David heard I was doing it. We all knew each other back then. Right, like Sean used to come swimming at my house with Lake Garrett, I mean.
No way.
It was a whole little world back then.
Oh my gosh.
He decided, he goes, you know what? I think I'll stay. So they 86'd the next door best friend, and
oh my gosh, that's amazing. I never knew all that. That's crazy. And also I read that you were hired to play Gopher on the Love Boat.
You see, my career is about almosts.
Almost. I'm bringing up all the almost, man. Sorry.
Almost. Yeah, I mean, I was hired to host the Tonight Show in Australia too, and the government wouldn't let an American host it. I signed a contract.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
So they did a couple of pilots for the Love Boat, and one of them, I don't know which incarnation it was, they gave me the job as Gopher. I don't even think I auditioned for it. And I was on NBC. I was on Days of Our Lives, and so the show was ABC. I think it's ABC, and they had to make an agreement that I could do both shows, the soap opera and Love Boat. At least the pilot. And the Thursday night before I had to leave for Friday on the ship, NBC pulled out of the deal.
Oh man.
So yeah, I could have been a senator.
Oh my gosh. No kidding. That's amazing. God, that's crazy. How did you moving into Land of the Lost a little bit? How did you go about getting the role? How did it end up for you? Will Marshall.
It's a Hollywood story. It's it's everybody's dream. I just got into Hollywood not too long before that. I was on Days of Our Lives. I just started as Mike Horton, which I did for about a decade. And a friend of mine, one of my best friends, Bruce Ostrander, said, "Hey, I'm going to Sid Kroft's house for a pool party, just a couple of us." So I went with Bruce. I'm at Sid's party. And I mean, there's only a few of them, maybe 5 of us.
Yeah.
And Sid looks at me and goes, I've got a new show. And I want you to call the casting director on Monday, because it was like a Saturday at the pool. And he gave me her name. I called her on Monday. I went in and Sid says, you walked in, and the network said, that's the guy.
Oh my gosh.
And they cast everybody around me. And that's why on Land of the Lost, Spencer Milligan looks so much like me. He looks like my dad, because they were casting around what I looked like. And Kathy Coleman, who played Holly, I got to audition with Kathy. I think she auditioned like 7 times. And I read with Kathy, and and then when, so that's how it all started. It was as simple as going to a pool party. And at first I was not going to do it because I was older. I was in my 20s. I was early 20s, like 21 or so. And they wanted me to play 16. And I thought, I don't want to play 16.
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad I said yes, because it's been such a joy. I mean,
oh yeah,
it's been so much fun. And the joy that show has brought to me, because to this day, Kathy Coleman, who played Holly, Phil Paley, who played Chaka, Spencer Milligan, who played my dad, we are as close as a family could be. Yeah. And in fact, I think they're sometimes closer than my real family. And we talk all the time, and we travel together. So
that's amazing. Wow. So I want to ask you, because I do YouTube. I have 2 channels. I do a lot of filming, editing. And so I pay attention when I watch the show now, especially, I loved it as a kid, but now I just want to know, can you tell me about the process of filming the iconic opening with the theme song?
Well, I sang the theme song in the show.
You did?
Yeah, I sang the theme song and the end song, and I had to go back in the 3rd season and re-record the theme song because we lost our dad. We had our Uncle Jack.
Uncle Jack. The words changed.
The words changed, so I had to go back in the studio to record it. It was Marshall, Will, and Holly on a routine expedition at the greatest earthquake ever known. High on the rapids, it struck their tiny raft. Plunged them down 1,000 feet below. To the land of the lost, to the land of the lost. And then Grumpy goes, roar.
Yeah, I love it.
But the raft was, it was like the first day of shooting. And we had back in the technology back then, it was state-of-the-art technology. It was a blue screen, it was chroma key. Right now we have green screens that we use. But it was a blue screen, and the whole floor of a soundstage, half of soundstage, and the wall were all blue. They put us on this yellow raft, put the life jackets on us, and everything under the raft was blue, so it disappeared. And the guys had blue like 2x4s.
Yeah,
it was all painted blue, and they were on each side. There were 4 guys, 2 on 2, and they would like push each other on big springs, and they would like be doing this stuff.
Oh man!
Of course, it looks like we're in a Tidy Bowl commercial with the blue water and stuff, but at the time, it was totally state of the art.
All right. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I would think. Yeah, you're right. I do remember hearing that they used mostly blue back then, but it seemed like that would be a lot more challenging than the huge bright green that everybody's using now.
And I think that's one of the reasons they changed it, because you'll notice in the first season I have a blue shirt on, and Kathy had blue cords on.
Yeah,
and we had to change that because every once in a while the blue would chroma key out, become invisible. Yeah. So they put me in khaki. I don't know where I came up with that extra outfit on the rafting trip. And then Kathy was in maroon. I mean, even my eyes every once, because my eyes are blue, and sometimes they'd have to go, oh no, your eyes are chroma keying out, so we have to redo it.
Oh my gosh.
It was really sensitive, but it was the technology at the time.
Yeah.
It was pretty amazing, because the first episode, it didn't work. When we shot the episode called Chaka, because the dinosaurs were filmed in film, and Land of the Lost, our show was in videotape. So they had to meld the 2 together instantaneously. So it didn't work. So they called in the Disney technicians, and everybody came, and all these, the top people in the business came, and they were able to resolve it. So we would see on a screen, Kathy and I would be on the chroma key they'd go, look up there, that's Grumpy's head, and run this way, you're scared, And we'd see the dinosaur animation, then they would take us with the video and put us in the screen and shrink us down to be the right size with the dinosaur. And then they would do it instantaneously. So there was no post in this. It was all done it was in real time, and we got to watch it and
Wow.
watch the replay.
Okay, so that explains it. I've seen shots of you and also of Kathy, especially Kathy had a lot of conversations with Dopey.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
So she's just kind of looking at in a certain direction and they're just melding them together instantaneously.
Yeah, well, like when she rode Dopey, there's
Yeah.
a thing where she's riding Dopey, and so Dopey was animated. He was just walking across, and they put it was like a sawhorse kind of a thing. It was a big tube, a round piece of wood. They painted blue. Again, it was on wheels, painted blue. Everything was wheel. The rope was blue, and what they did was they watched Dopey on the animated screen and how fast he moved, and they pulled Kathy on videotape to match it. So it looked
Wow.
like she was riding Dopey. It was at the time it was extraordinary. It was a Saturday morning show, and we were shooting like I think we shot 2 episodes a week. So each episode's only 2.5 days to film.
Wow.
So and their budget was just nothing. But we had great writers. We had Star Trek writers. David Gerald was our head writer. Trouble with Tribbles he wrote. And Walter Koenig, who played Chekhov in the original Star Trek. I'm a huge Trekkie. And he created Enoch, the talking Sleestak.
Oh, wow. Man.
And DC Fontana, Larry Niven, all these Spinrad, all these people that wrote for Star Trek were our writers. And that's why the sci-fi was so good. Because David said at a show recently, he said, I told the writers, we're not writing a kid show. He said, write an adult sci-fi show that airs on Saturday morning. And that's why the scripts never talk down to kids. Time doorways, matrices, doppelgangers, all the antecedents, all those sort of things.
Yeah. Wow. And you've kind of answered this, but I was going to ask you about working with Kathy and Philip and Spencer and there were 2 different actors that played, what was it?
Yeah,
2 different actors?
Yeah.
Scudder and there was
Scudder McKay and Joe Giammalva. We lost Scudder. I can't remember the reason. I mean, Scudder has passed away now.
Oh.
But Joe Giammalva, we do shows with Joe every once in a while. And Sharon Baird, who was Joe played Ta, sort of Chaka's dad, the nasty one, and Sa was played by Sharon Baird. And if you're a TV fanatic, Sharon Baird was one of the original Mouseketeers in the black and white days.
Wow.
And you go, hi, I'm Annette. I'm Tommy. I'm Sharon. Well, that was Sharon.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's crazy.
Yeah, she's a smaller person. And so she did a lot of the cross shows in costumes. She did a lot of different characters.
So working with them, you kind of said that you guys are now really tight. Now, I'm sure that back then you guys just had a great time filming together.
We did. And we weren't friends back then because, first of all, Kathy was 12 years old.
Oh, true.
Phil was 10 years old. So, I mean, and I was, my early 21, and I would come in because I was filming both shows, Days of Our Lives and Land of the Lost, for 3 years at the same time.
Yeah.
So in the mornings I would do Days of Our Lives, and the cast hated me because for those 3 years I got to do all my scenes. I'd come in the morning, I'd do all my stuff first, and they had to wait around. So they hated me. And then I would get in my car and race over to Golden Studios and General Services in Hollywood. And so in the morning I'm crying that my girlfriend is leaving me, and I'm sobbing. The mafia's after me. A wagon fell on my chest. And then in the afternoon I'm going, run, Holly, run! There's a Sleestak. So
yeah. That is awesome. Well, I've noticed I follow you on Facebook, and I've noticed that you've been making the convention rounds.
Yeah. Feel like an old hooker at a street corner going, hey, how are you doing? So I didn't do them for years. Kathy did a lot of them, but I did. Kathy said, you got to do some with me. And I did it, and we had more fun because meeting the fans, it was the travel and the fans, and also because I get to sit next to some of my idols, as people I'm a fan of. Like we sat next to Lou Ferrigno for 5 days at Dragon Con once, and Chris Atkins, Blue Lagoon, and we became friends. William Catt from America's Greatest Heroes, Sam Jones, all these people. We get to have lunch and dinner and become friends with these people, and so it's kind of wonderful. And Kathy and I are about to we're doing a show in Pittsburgh this next week, and then we're doing a show. We do the Star Trek convention every year, Kathy and I,
Oh, wow. Okay.
And we're the only show that they allow in other than Star Trek, because they're really sticklers. I mean, you have to be Star Trek, it's like, no.
Yeah.
But they let us in because our writers were all Star Trek. Our monster makers was Michael Westmore. Now Michael did all the monsters for Star Trek, and he did all our creatures. He was our makeup artist. So we have and our prop people were Star Trek people. So they let us in.
That's incredible. Now, is that next to you? I see a slee stack.
It's a slee stack skull.
Skull. Okay.
And this is this is a fan made. This is not an original prop, but it was from the Library of Skulls, where their eyes would glow, and in a circle they were on pedestals and they spoke to each other. They were the old ones.
Right.
So I'm at the Star Trek convention one year, and it's a long convention. It's like 6 days, and I'm not paying attention. This is sitting on the table, and I'm looking around doing something, and suddenly somebody grabs this thing and is lifting it up and taking it away. And I go, wait. And I look, and it was Mike Westmore, the makeup artist who created this. He was going, well, this is really good. So
Wow.
I got Michael's approval for this.
That's a big compliment.
And his son, Michael Jr., he said they just recently found the original mold in Westmore's garage.
Oh my gosh.
Of the Sleestek heads. And then it wasn't like plaster of Paris. It was something kind of spongy or whatever. So it was deteriorating, but he was going to try to maybe create some new ones for us.
Yeah. Wow. So do you anticipate doing, I'm asking this because it's people watching, fans, you anticipate doing more conferences in the future if people want to try to meet you, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we actually did a CroftCon for the first time ever a few weeks ago. It was huge. Sid and Marty were there. We were up in the Oakland area. It was Derek Zimmer put this together. He owns a theater in Orinda, California, which is about 15 minutes from the airport, Oakland Airport. And it's gorgeous. It's one of these historic theaters. And the Croft Stars, there were a bunch of us there, and they built props. They had giant mushrooms, and they built a set because we always, Kathy and I and Phil, we bring a yellow raft. And when fans get autographs, we, instead of doing a photo like, hey, how are you?
Yeah.
We put fans in the yellow raft with life jackets, yellow oars, and we all go, ah! And
that's the only way to do it.
Going over the waterfall. So they had a beautiful backdrop of a waterfall. We brought a slee stack with us, a costume slee stack to, attack us. And, and it was a huge hit. So I did a thing for ABC last Friday with Marty Croft. And I was on with Marty Croft and Butch Patrick, who's Butch was, of course, in the Munsters, Eddie Munster.
Yeah.
But he was also in Lidsville for the Crofts. So, and Marty's like, we're doing more Croft cards. We're going to be doing more Croft cards. Yeah. So, but it was the most amazing event because Chris Knight was there from the Brady Bunch, because they did the Brady Bunch hour. They did, we had a bunch of different people, and in the theater they showed a footage of things that had never been seen before. They showed episode 11 of The Lost, the movie Puff and stuff. I mean, it was amazing.
Wow.
And Sid Marty spoke, and but it was like being at a playground filled with excited kids. Everyone was having the best time. Yeah. And there were no bullies in the playground.
Exactly.
It was a delightful experience. So
wow.
Yeah, we hope to do some more of the conventions, and we just have fun. Like Kathy and I, to tell you how much fun Kathy and I have together. She's like my sister. She's really my sister.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
At Star Trek convention, she and I share a room every year.
Okay.
So for a full week, we've got 2 queen beds, and she's in the other queen bed. I mean, that's how close we really are together.
Yeah, you're like family. For
yeah,
sure.
Totally.
That's amazing. So, any fans watching, keep up, follow, book it. And if I see you at another convention, I'm going to come too. If you're in my area, I'm going to come and meet you in person as well. So,
thank you.
This is amazing. Hey, I just don't want to take up any more of your time. I just really appreciate this. I want to thank you for so many childhood memories. And I mean that. My brother and I told him I was going to do this interview, and he's like, wow. So we just have so many memories, and that theme song, singing it, anyway, I just want to thank you for just
Oh, my pleasure.
talking to me and for so many memories.
What's amazing too is the effect it had on a lot of people's lives, because we have to remember when Land of the Lost was on, it was, Saturday morning was a very special place for kids.
It was.
If you missed the episodes, you missed the episode. There's no replay.
Yeah,
Most kids would be sitting there with their bowl of Captain Crunch watching TV.
exactly.
So Kathy and I are we've had amazing experiences of fans that come up to us and share their stories, and some of them are pretty powerful. We had a blind couple that came up to us. They were married, and they both had sight as children, and they'd met at a blind school. They both lost their vision, as young adults. But what they had in common was Land of the Lost.
Oh, wow.
And they could remember because they saw it. And so when they came to the table, there's Kathy. Kathy looks so beautiful. She has long blonde hair.
Yeah.
And the woman said, Kathy, would you mind if I touch you? And so she was feeling Kathy's face and oh, your hair, it's still long. And then she felt one of the sleeve stack, and she felt it, and they remembered it. And those moments that we have are extraordinary.
Man.
One guy came up to us and said, I thought you guys spoke Farsi. I go, what? He goes, yeah, in Iraq. I said, my brother and I were in Iraq. We escaped after the war and everything, but we would watch Land of the Lost. You were dubbed. And he said, we became scientists. And he and his brother were two heads of Jet Propulsion Lab, JPL, in Pasadena. And he said, do you want to have a private tour at JPL? I go, are you crazy? Of course.
Good grief.
And they let us in every private door that, all the security. And we entered one room. This I'll never forget. It's a huge room, computer banks all around the room, and one lone guy sitting over in the corner. And he's the guy that has driven every Mars rover with a joystick since the first rovers came out.
Oh my gosh.
And he goes, he knew who we were. He goes, oh my God, it's Will and Holly. He goes, you want to drive the Mars rover?
Oh,
are you crazy? Yes.
Duh, of course.
I'm like, oh, what are you crazy? I'm like, get the joystick, and like moving this thing around. Now, to be fair,
yeah,
it did move the Mars rover, because what they do is every day they spend like 8 hours programming what they want the rover to do the next day, and it takes like 8 hours for the transmission to get to Mars. So,
yeah.
So what we did wasn't. He didn't sit, because otherwise, if he did what I did, the rover would be going all over Mars. But he's the only guy that has the only Mars driver's license.
Oh my gosh.
And he showed it to us, and it was those moments that and that's why we love doing the show so much. We meet the most incredible people, and
absolutely,
there's a lot of the fans that come up that have become our friends.
Oh wow, man. That's amazing. Well, I just I'm one of those fans, and I'm so humbled that you take time to talk to me today. So,
oh, Danny, thanks for asking. I appreciate it. It's amazing that people listen. This show was on almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Of course, I created Dragon Tales on PBS, so I have another group of kids that's that's younger, but these days there's something about this show that just won't die. It's part of the lexicon. People talk about Sleestack all the time. People call people Jaka, all these things. So thank you for having me on. Thanks for remembering.
Oh, my privilege, sir. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for hanging out with me on this episode. I want to sincerely thank Wesley Eure for hanging out with me and chatting with us today and answering my questions. It was such a privilege to get to talk to him. But hey, stay tuned for more great episodes here on Everything 101. I wish for you and your family and friends peace and blessings, and I'll see you soon.